Hello, I'm Marcus Bronzy.
And I'm K Kurt. This is Ain't Got a Clue. Before we start, if you enjoy this show, we record a bonus episode called More of a Clue right after this one. And there are two ways you can access it. You get all of the shows with no ads. The first is Apple Podcasts. Just go onto the page. You see a button that says More of a Clue. Click on it. You get a free trial. But you're just not going to get through all of the bonus content in
Absolutely
3 days,
not.
bruv.
Absolutely
Who's getting
not.
through that in 3 days?
No
What
one's
kind of
getting
loser?
through.
Unless you're on holiday and you're on some dead holiday. It's like it's a vacation. You're not getting...
You have
She's
to
on a
hate
period.
me. You have to hate
He's
your
not
friends.
feeling it.
Yeah. You've done a cut before your holiday, so your tea's through the floor. Yeah. You're upset with life. Yeah. Also, we have a Patreon as well where you can access our bonus content, including video too.
Yeah.
So you can also see our faces there.
And Patreon, there's a bit more of a community as well. So
There is.
You can chat to other people.
Very conversational. They've been asking me questions, Kay.
Okay,
Do you
I
reply sometimes?
Marcus replies.
Yeah. I reply as you sometimes when I say fucked up shit.
Marcus goes,
The rude shit is like,
Marcus
from
goes,
K.
fuck black people. From K.
From K.
I'm like, yo, when did I say?
So if you want to see some casual racism, step into the Patreon. It's fantastic in there.
Speaking of casual racism, there's my guest, James Smith.
You get either of those for a price of a coffee. So yes, welcome to the show. James Smith PT is what you are on Instagram. So I guess we can kind of figure out what you do. But if someone says, what do you do? What is it you do?
It's kind of confusing at this point in time. But you say that. I was on a podcast and Chris Williamson goes, you sound like a racist. I went, what do you mean I sound like a racist?
But he's one to talk. He hangs around with Douglas Murray.
All right. Touche. Well,
Like Douglas Murray's out here going, oh yeah, why should nationalism be frowned upon just because Germany mucked it up twice in a century? Like, that's one quote. The other quote I had from him is like, why should I respect... No, if you don't respect my culture, why should I pretend to respect yours? Guys has got like a bag of quotes where...
well read.
Yeah. And then what was the other one where he was like, Charlie Hebdo isn't racist. It's just that you people don't understand satire. You people don't understand... All right, bro. I've got like a whole list of shit, bro. See, when people bring up that cunt, I'm like... Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Back to your point, I didn't want to have PT in the name.
Okay.
Like being James Smith, I mean, I've got anytime I even mention my name, like, you know, when you're checking into a building, name James Smith, they're like, eye roll, this guy's fucking lying. Like,
yeah.
dodgy. But then I always used to rip the fuck out of people that put PT in their name on Facebook like 10 years ago, but then I had to do it to get the Insta name. And the guy with the Insta at James Smith is a PT.
Oh, shit.
He lives 10 miles from me and he's copied my profile picture, so it's his head on the same coloured background.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like an...
I can't lie. Are you serious?
Are you serious?
Are you serious?
I think we offered him, I think I offered him like 10 grand cash. I was like, can I just have it?
And he said no.
Yeah. Well,
He's not getting that many clients, bro.
Do you know what though? I have to respect the hustle off a nice little... He's eating off your name a little bit. And it's a cunty move. But you know what? At the same time, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I respect
To be
the
fair,
hustle
if my name was James Smith and the other James Smith that was out there was famous as a personal trainer, I would go and get qualifications as a personal trainer just because I knew it was easy money.
If people were messaging me saying, could you train me? Here's some money. I'd be like, yeah, just send the money here and then we'll work it out.
Yeah, you could be like the escrow.
Yes.
You pay me, then I pay him.
Yeah, any problems, just hit up my community service page, which was James Smith PT at Instagram.com. You're not. It's a perfect crime.
And every time there's a new platform like TikTok, jump on it, try and get at James Smith, it's gone.
Really?
Yeah, so like...
But it's a bait name though.
I know.
It's fucking like, as I was saying before off air, like, you're the second James we've had on the show.
Oh, shit,
second white guy as well.
Yeah.
And the other guy was a white guy called James.
And it's a tough time for straight white males.
Is it? Go on, talk us through the pain, bro. Go for it. We got the music. We got the music.
Do you know, I gigged in front of a bunch of young people yesterday, yeah? And I realised I can't stand young people.
Really? It's been growing for a few weeks on this show. It's been growing for a few weeks. But how is it manifested now?
Let me tell you, it was at this point, I was like, do you know what? Fuck Gen Z. A lot of you can go to hell, bruv. Because there was this guy in the crowd, bigger guy, and he was like, I was like, what's your name, bro? And like, he turned around. I was like, no, I'm talking to you. There's a lot of you. Like I can't. I'm talking to you. And then everyone's like, ooh. I'm like, hold on. He knows he's a big guy. Like, I'm not saying anything. I was like, you know, you're a big guy, innit? And he was like, yeah. I was like, you're fine with that, innit? He's like, yeah. So I was like, what the fuck you lot moaning about over there? And it just blew. I was like, I'm not being fat for anyway. I did a whole bit about like them going on TikTok and crying and saying I went to a comedy show and experienced fat phobia and all that shit. But it's just mind-boggling how willing they are to be offended for other people.
I think it's, I was thinking about this. I chatted to my dad about it. I was like, we're in this like little pandemic for the younger generation where they've got no purpose, no status and no passion. So when you're younger, even if you're like growing up in a rough part of London, or even if you're in a public school, whatever it is, you need to try and establish status by being like the cool guy, dealing sherbets to your mates and having a tenner at school, being like, fucking this guy. You know, these young generation of soft people, they can't lift themselves up to, you know, have any purpose or have any status amongst their friends. So it's like, who can be the most politically correct? The only time they can be authoritative at all is correcting someone. So these people that are in your crowd haven't had the ability to control anyone or be in charge of anything in their life.
And they probly won't be anyway, as well.
Do you think conversely that also there's power in being incorrect and people are harnessing that as well? You like to throw a little grenade onto social media once in a while to fuck around for fun, but there are people that's what they eat off.
Yeah. You know, with social media is all a game, innit? Yeah. We're all playing the game. It's like Call of Duty, but you could get an endorsement out of it. So
for real. Shout out to NVIDIA who gave us a big piece of PC for the Manscaped.
But like, you never truly, when you look at your following or your listeners, you can never quantify it's actually 100,000 people listening. You're like, it's just a number. And then when you're next to a podcast or make a promotion, production, whatever, you're just trying to gamify that number. But sometimes, on socials, just like to throw something out there. And also, let's say I bash vegans. Vegans don't do business with me. If I bash bodybuilders, they don't do business with me. Like everyone I bash doesn't do business with me. So I kind of play those angles.
You know your target audience, essentially.
Yeah.
It's mainly middle class women.
More men. I'm growing with men.
Is it?
So it used to be like 80% women. It's now like 65% women.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And TikTok is more men. And now I'm trying to push a bit more on YouTube. Like,
your YouTube is blowing up.
Yeah, I slept a long time on YouTube, but I was never good enough to do well on it. And I'm not saying I'm there now, but a year ago I was editing on iMovie, and I would record things sideways.
No,
damn.
Yeah, like because I don't like letting go and getting someone else to take part in an edit. Because when I get it and I'm disappointed with it, I just paid you to be disappointed.
Yeah. So you've learned how to use Premiere now.
Yeah, now I'm on Premiere. Now I'm like, even I did like a little YouTube course, and I paid $5,000 for this fucking course, and the guy pretty much says it's not the algorithm, your content's not good enough. And I was like, it's a fair point. Like,
we've actually literally said this on the pod. Like, there's some people that talk about that being blacklisted, shadow banned, and stuff like that, and we're just like, nah, man, the content ain't banging, innit? If your content, it happens, innit? It happens sometimes.
So you did this course, and they were like, your content shit, and then you're like, thanks, man, cheers.
Nah, so they use good examples. So first of all, they were like. And now I see it everywhere. So I watched Peaky Blinders the other day, and I'm watching it, and there's a scene where they're just walking down the road. There's like smoke and there's pyro, and I was like, for 3 seconds, they got 10 actors, they got a set, they got a smoke machine, they got health and safety, they got pyro, they got makeup, they got hair, they got stuff. This scene of 3 seconds probably cost £50,000, and there's me being too lazy to put an overlay on a little. When I'm talking about Bondi Beach, I couldn't be fucked to go download a 3-second video of Bondi Beach and overlay it as a pattern interrupt, and I was like. At the top level of people that do the best in videos, they put in so much effort into every 10 seconds. And I was like, how the fuck can you compete with that if you're not willing to up the work you put into it? Like
100%.
Even now, there are some podcasters that use like poor equipment, or they don't, like Darren was still using the broadcast headsets. So I was like, mate, it's a bit, come on. The
Britney Spears.
Yeah. So I was like, you got to pick up your game to compete, because I was like, even if they love you, they look at you and you're like, this guy doesn't care that much about his production.
Yeah. We don't have that.
Do you know what though? No, you got a point, but sometimes, and I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, because we got a nice little setup here, and we're about to be using some really nice studios as well. But once in a while, a meme comes along that looks like it's been filmed on a potato, and it fucking bangs. Yeah. So is that like, for me, that proves to me sometimes that, you know what, you're right. Content, you don't want to make your content look shit, but if something's good enough, sometimes the value in it is just so amazing,
the actual
whether it's
content
the
of the
chuckle
video,
or not. Do you know what I mean? So you got a really good point, but also like I tell myself that, because I could get lost in, is it 4K? Is it 60 frames? Is it mirror? And sometimes it's just got to be a funny joke, or it's got to be educational, because you put out a lot of content.
Yeah,
like
I think you're completely right, and I think that can be like a kind of exception to the rule. But ultimately, I think we're moving into a world now where people respect the effort you put in.
Yeah, man.
And that's not to say that, if you have a really good joke or a bit and you're like, fuck, I need to get this out, iPhone will be fine. But then you think to yourself, if I put in 30% more effort, I'm probably going to get 100% better return.
No, 100%. But sometimes I see some stuff and it's all grainy, and like the subtitle, even when the subtitles look weird. I fucking
love it.
When I see like cheap looking subtitles, I'm like, bro, like just make that a bit smaller.
Yeah.
Just put a background on that. Like,
but that's why TikTok was so good, because we reduced the barrier to entry to good content. We kind of said all you need is nothing.
but no, we reduced the barrier of entry way too low, because now everybody thinks they're a fucking creator.
Yeah, that is also true. And then
how many PTs do you see now on a daily basis that basically do what you, Darren, Ben Carpenter, all of these lot do? Like, they're remixing you lot's videos.
They're going through like my 2018 list of videos. I literally can see where they're back there in the archives on Facebook, like just going through it, and I'm like, that's mine. But you can't. There's nothing you can do about it.
But that's what I'm saying. How many times can you tell people calorie? Do you know what? It was interesting because I put into ChatGPT. I think I sent it to you. When I was like, make me a YouTube video script in the about diet in the style of James Smith, and it said calories deficit is important.
I just kind of it gets a bit exhausting, and also like you have to try and reinvent yourself a lot. Like so, and also, yeah, it's pretty tiring. But I think, do you know what? Good on some of you young lads going to get it. It's such a like a weird industry now, though. Like it's a tough
I find it mad. You sold out the Hammersmith Apollo.
Flex.
As
became the James Smith Apollo for the day. That's what did you fuck with that? Did you do that? Did you call it the James Smith Apollo?
No, we did have the name out the front. But I'll tell you what's crazy about that. So my mum and dad have never been to an event.
Okay.
Like never been before.
Well, your ones or just in general?
They've been to a event, but like they don't really leave. They don't leave the house that much. And like, so this is my fourth tour that I've done. The first tours, it was like 45 people.
Before we carry on, what do you fucking do on this tour? Because as a comedian, I'm always very.
Do you know? Okay, that's a really good question. Can we just backtrack a bit? If someone asks what you do, we did ask that at the start of the pod. What do you say you do?
Okay,
that's a good question, Kay. Sorry, James. Yeah, go on.
I would say coach, because all the money I make is education. It's books, it's talks, it's events, it's academy. Like I don't do paid promotions, don't do
You're missing out
endorsements.
On a bag, bro.
Yeah, but like you see some people like flash in the pan, and then although they got a lot of bag in that period, then afterwards they've exhausted it. And you see this in the Love Island cycles.
Yeah.
Where, cool, you got Nivea to pay you out and all of this stuff. But then 3 years later, people are exhausted of seeing you. They see that look in your eyes. A lot of influencers seem to think their audience is really dumb, that they're just fucking idiots, but they see everything.
100%. You've got to endorse stuff that you actually use or you actually care about.
Yeah, so that my rule is like, if I don't like it, I'm not endorsing it. Like, so I see a lot of tech and people are like, oh, he was getting paid. If you say it's good, it must be shit. If I think something's shit, you will know it's shit.
You see it in the eyes.
But I'll tell you it's shit, innit? You hear it from my mouth. But I'll also explain why it's shit as well. And I've had brands say to me, thank you for the feedback. Because I think if you just say, that's shit, fucking hate that.
Do you know, so
why
funny,
is it shit?
Funny
why doesn't
story,
it work?
Funny story. About a year and a half ago, he got sent a bunch of equipment, like a watch, a laptop, a tablet, and all this stuff from some brand. And he was like, I'm going to see if I can go Apple-less for a week. But I think he lasted about 16 hours, you know?
Yeah, bro. And you know what? The content did not see the light of day. Because I was like, to the brand, I was like, you know what? With all due respect, you're not going to want to see what I'm going to say about your brand, innit? So, and they were like, cool, respect,
16
relationships
hours.
there. 16 hours. And that included getting out of the box and charging it up as well. So about eight hours, I tried to get out of it.
Because you're looking at it and you're like, right, this is fucking, what is this shit? Anyway, so you what do you do on tour?
So first of all, parents never been to an event.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so
cool.
I'm in the green room behind, and my manager just walks my parents in. My dad's like shaking. He doesn't know what I'm about to talk about or anything. Like he's shitting his pants. He's like, what the fuck's going on? This is the weirdest thing ever. I was knocking on doors for Empower when I was 21. And now I'm fucking, to me, it doesn't even feel real as well. But so let's say spend a year writing a book. There's probably 15 chapters. Out of those, what ones could I bring to life on stage? So then I'll pick a chapter and then I'll think, okay, what side tangent could I talk about that could be entertaining at the same time? So like there's a concept called the utility of deprivation, where what could you deprive yourself of to put yourself in a position where you become more confident? So I talk about like deleting dating apps, that's a real simple one. If I delete Hinge, would I be more inclined to talk to strangers and actually put myself out there? Yes, therefore you could deprive yourself of a tool, blah, blah, blah. But before that, I was like, the first thing I talk about is why not to wank before a date? And I'm like, every man plots a date out 7 p.m, 3 p.m, gets a little tingle in his
brave,
dick.
bruv.
And you're like, I could have a wank. And then, and my mum and dad are in the audience here. And then you're like, no, I shouldn't. And then you go, you should, because you're a stallion and you can recharge. And you know what? Maybe taking that little zing off your sex drive would be good, because then when the girl says, I'm not going to sleep with you tonight, you can look her in the eyes and be honest and go, good, because I wasn't planning that tonight. But if you don't have a wank, you're going to be on heat a little bit and you're going to be a bit like, ugh. So then I'm talking about this fucking story about me like wanking before dates and being dateless. And, you know, then I'm like trying to bring it back to utility deprivation. Then there's the hit home thing. What could you do in your life that you could deprive yourself of? Whether masturbation, porn, whether dating apps that would put you into a position where you actually have to become more confident. Otherwise you just become a fucking, you know, stay at home, lonely person or whatever. But then every
wanker.
Wanker, yeah. But then every single like part of the book, I try and bring like a legitimate, like funny moment. And I remember Kay saying this to me. He goes, "Do you know what, bruv?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "People don't expect you to be funny." Do you know how refreshing that is? He goes, "I have to be funny."
Yeah.
Oh, was that at Darren's flat or was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So like They come for education, I'd like to think, and maybe support as well. Which, again, to your people listening to this, like, you should say to them, like, fucking pay for this. We're putting in the effort at the time.
Yeah.
Like, join the Patreon. Even if you're on the fence, just fucking support the cause, whatever. So I think a lot of people that attend are actually supporting the cause.
Yeah.
Then when you try and make things funny and educational, that's where they get more than what they might have bargained for when they come. Like Darren in the first tours, he comes out and just fucking roasts me for like 15 minutes. Like, first time he came around my parents' house, he's like, "That's a roundabout." This fucking white guy from Berkshire's got a roundabout in his house. So then he like pulls my pants down 15 minutes. So like the audience are really warm and receptive. And, you know, like imagine, we all know there are loads of nuggets of information in TED Talks online.
Yeah.
But they're not entertaining. And
they're so boring. I can't watch a TED Talk for love nor money, bruv.
And we now need to be entertained in everything we do. Otherwise we just don't remain invested.
100%.
Even like serious, let's look at like Afterlife of Ricky Gervais. You got one of the most powerful story arcs to like.
I don't watch it. Watch it. I'm being real. I watched about 3 episodes and I was like, it's not for me.
Fair enough. God, no, it's all right, Dave. I've seen a bit of it. It's all right. James is shocked. He's like, "What the fuck?"
That's James's king right there.
There are so many lessons in life. Anyway, but the way he keeps people engaged is by making it like really funny. So it's like powerful point, like salient point for your life, fucking funny. Blah, blah, blah.
Sort of like Fresh Prince. Yeah.
All right, you had to make it ethnic. I see. Yeah. Why is everything about race?
You made it about race. Okay, no. Yeah, no, I feel you though. So you do these educational talks in an entertaining way, and then people fucking mad. Because I bring you up as an example every time I speak to comedians when they're all like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." I'm like, there are personal trainers doing what you want to do. I always I'm like, there's personal trainers doing what you want to do. They're selling out the Apollo. Like, you can say you don't want to do online all day long. Like,
so why shouldn't you wank before a date?
Just
come to the top.
You'll cancel.
jsmith.com.
You'll cancel the date.
You reckon?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a magnanimous wank.
A cancel for...
All right.
What would you say?
Let's remove the context for a second.
Yeah, cool.
What did you say? Sorry, it cancels your...
No, you will cancel the date. You'll go, "Oh, listen, something's come up. You know, I'm a bit busy." Like, everyone, when we're having a wank on Pornhub, the second you post that clarity, the second you jizz, you're like, "Oh, it's disgusting."
No, you got to do it about 3 or 4 hours before.
Well, that's what I say, 3 p.m. But then I'll end up just cancelling every time. Because James at 3 p.m. is really excited to meet you. James at 3:03 is thinking, "I'd rather be playing Call of Duty." So that's the problem. And another one, utility of deprivation. About 2 years ago, I refused to drink before dates. I was like, this is crazy. And again, this is one of kind of like the bits of this element of the show where I'm like, I'll stop wanking, so then I'll go on dates. Then I'll delete dating apps, so I talk to people. But the third barrier was like, okay, I'm going on dates, but now a second I walk around the corner, and Sydney could be like the catfish central of the world. Like, you turn up, you meet them, and you're like, "Oh, fuck, you're like, this is not who I thought it was." I'm in a relationship now, so
what do you mean the catfish center of the world? Is it...
Like, there's people now airbrushing, like, all these apps to make themselves
I
look like
thought everyone in
not.
Australia was just good looking.
Well, yeah, but not the ones that are on fucking Hinge or Tinder when I was back there. No offense to any of them. But then you walk around the corner.
I said there was some fucking moose on there.
And the second you see him, you're like, this just isn't the person I thought I was going to. But then you big yourself up. You're like, I'm putting myself out there. I'm out on a Friday night. I put my jeans on. I'm being sociable. And you're like, let's just have a drink with this person. Yes. After a drink, we'll go separate ways. Look at you getting out and about. But then I go, James, after one drink, he's like, could have another. Then I said, suddenly you're 3 drinks in going, I shouldn't have judged this girl so soon, you know? And then at 4 drinks, you're like, might as well have sex. And then you have sex with someone that you know originally you weren't interested in, but you just stayed to be polite, you're 4 drinks in. Then you wake up hungover on a school night after sleeping with somebody you didn't want to sleep with, and you build this negative connotation with dating. So then I just straight up like refused. So I was on a talk about confidence, talking about post-nut clarity. I'm talking about dating apps. I'm talking about James of 4 beers wanting to fuck absolutely anything, like all of these things. But then there's the actual powerful point where I'm saying, guys, stop wanking, stop using dating apps, stop drinking on dates. Like, these are 3 things that are going to bring you closer to your ultimate goal. Because every man wants to be in a good serving relationship. Like, every player, whatever. You kind of look them in the eyes and you're like, they've almost like built up a story. This is another bit. You can build up a story long enough, you believe it, which I used to do with girls saying that I couldn't share a bed with someone I didn't know. So if I was to have a one
I fully get you. You know, when we were at that party the other night, all I could think about, you know, everyone was like, oh, there's bad things in here, there's bad things.
Yeah.
You know, halfway through, I was like, I just want a family, man.
Literally. He's like, I just want a family to go home to, bruv.
I was literally there. Everyone's like, bro, there's bad girls here, bro. They look at it. I just want a family, man. Like, I just
Bring me out of that everyone chat as well. I was standing next to you, bro.
yeah, Marcus wasn't doing that. Yeah, let's just be clear. Marcus was like, oh, yeah, no, man, it's a nice vibe in here.
But it's true as well. And then, like, for so many people, they don't want to hear it. But I'm like, if you stop drinking when you meet people, and this is about 29, I was like, and I'm privileged to do this in Australia, I was like, either swim in the sea or we go for an ice cream. They're your 2 options. Because if you go for a swim in the sea, they don't wear makeup, or if they do, it comes off very quick. Or you
Is
go
it dates?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Right.
And I'd be like, let's just meet for 15 minutes. You might not like me. You know, you might think I'm a prick, whatever it is. And the thing is, for a man, and a lot of men would disagree, you need about 3 minutes with someone to know whether or not they're right.
Not even 3 minutes, bruv.
Yeah, I was being polite.
Not even 3 minutes, bruv. I could 30 seconds and I know where this is going.
The way they look, the way they move, the way they interact.
Sometimes you can tell just from, like, you know, when somebody gives you their Instagram. They just give you their Instagram and you see a few posts and you're like, it's not for me. Like, I just know, like, you're never going to be like.
But there's like people might go, oh my God, these guys are being such assholes. No, ultimately, we're all sniffing each other's bums trying to find out who's a good match, right? Dogs do it best. They spend like 10 seconds and then they're gone.
Yeah, like we're not interested. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what you're saying is you're just mentioning men, but obviously women do the same as well. Like, everyone does it. Within a few seconds, you make your first opinion of someone, which no doubt is the strongest opinion. And we will leave this behind, but just on a wanking thing, like, quickly, James, like, because I just...
because whenever it comes to shit and wanking, this guy is...
Because this thing is, I like see motivational quotes and it's like, you know, like 10 things you can do to, like, be more productive. I'm like, go on, I'll have a go. And I'll be like, 1, whatever.
Stop masturbating,
you know, set little targets, cool. Then when it comes to masturbation, I'm like, really? But I get what you're saying, but like, I'm just thinking hypothetically, if I have a wank at 3 p.m. and go on a date at 7...
Stallion.
If I'm still really attracted to this person, doesn't that say something? Like, even after I've had knocked one out of the park. And also, I'm going to say, even if I got along with them really, really well, because I know that one day my penis isn't going to stand up when I want it to. It happens to all of us, innit? And then I only have that person there, innit? So by knocking one out, am I not a little bit closer to that experience now and then?
So this is my only...
And I will let it go after this, because I'm going to get fucking buried on the comments already for this, James.
If you want to see them after post-nut clarity, then you really like that person.
Yeah.
Because I'd like... Sorry, I'll let you talk, James. But yeah, because I feel if I knock one out and then I go and see someone, I'm like, fucking hell, you have a profound personality. And, you know, I also find you physically attractive. And I've knocked one out at 3 p.m. Yeah. Fucking hell, this is... We could be onto a winner here.
Do you know what I find funny? Yeah, anytime I look at James now and I see it, I look at the time and it's 3 o'clock. I'm like, he's just had a wank.
Yeah, guys, don't wank at 3 o'clock because you'll be doing it with James at the same time.
If James goes my YouTube videos at 3, I'm like, no, it's not. Is on.
Don't call everybody that knows James, call him at 2:55 and just say, bruv, I'm thinking of you. I want you in my thoughts.
Well, I said this. Well, I would openly say on dates, like people go, "What you know?" When people say, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I'd like to."
I thought you said they've all been asking what you've been up to. 3 p.m. I banged a wank.
But you know, girls look you in the eyes. They go, "So what are you looking for?" And I would say, "I'm looking for someone I want to sleep with twice."
Okay.
And that's an honest thing for a man because so many men think they want someone, they sleep with them once, they go, "No."
Well, you know, David Hay recently got interviewed, didn't it? Because you know he's in a throuple.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, so polygamous relationship.
Yeah, he's basically he's in a relationship with 2 women at the same time. They go on holiday together and whatever. And Derek Chisora was like, fuck all of this boxing. He's like, David. He's like, how are you in the situation that you're in? And he was like, oh, I'm just honest. I told the universe what I want. and like the universe gave it to me. He's like, he's like, I'm really honest with these people I'm talking to. And Derek Chisora was like, right, well, I told my wife the same thing and she told me to pack my bags.
Not fair. I don't know these women, but like part of me then would think okay, there has to be something you're giving up here. For two women to be happy with that situation, you could question the quality of them and their intentions. But here's one more thing about...
No, I think the only people... Sorry, before we carry on, I think the only women that are interested in that are the ones that are into star signs and that, like, proper. You got to message them at 11:11 and be like, this is a sign this is a sign for the universe that all three of us should get together.
Send to all.
So this is my concern with like men and young men in general is it's very easy for a man to self-medicate his needs as a man with the internet. We can have video games, we get dopamine, we can have wanks, we fulfill our sexual desires. We can do so many things. Like you can make a man very happy giving him a fucking THC vape, Call of Duty and porn, which cost near to nothing. He only has to work for 3 hours on a checkout at Tesco's to fulfill every basic need he has, nearly all of them. But for a woman, I'm going to speak on behalf of women, you can cancel me, whatever, they can't fulfill their needs with just a vibrator. They want family, they want a home, they want a monogamous relationship, and they want children. So now we've got women that are sticking to the, ways of life and everything else, but we're now getting this big cohort of men that aren't even trying. Like, aren't even putting themselves out there. They're just staying at home playing video games.
100%. If you're a man and you're going to the gym every day, I think you're already ahead of like 60% of men.
And you know how to communicate with somebody, and you're confident with communication. You don't have to have all the zingers in the bag, but I think if you're a comfortable communicator and you look after yourself and you're looking the best that you can, feeling the best that you can, I think you are 90% of the way there.
He would argue if you do jiu-jitsu, you're in the top 2%. Do
you reckon?
Yeah.
All right.
But like, what is it with jiu-jitsu, by the way? Why does everyone in their 30s just start jiu-jitsu?
The crazy thing is you fall in love with there's not many gym sessions you leave going, fucking I'm a different athlete. Like there might be
you're not working out hard enough.
There might be a geezer that comes up to you and goes, hey mate, the RDL doesn't need to touch the floor. And you go, fuck, I'm never going to have a sore back again. That's like a moment where you're like, oh my God. But you don't get many of those in weight training. Someone goes, oh, move the bench, you get this feeling. But in jiu-jitsu, almost every time you go, you're getting one of those like eureka moments. And then another thing, any man in London can go to Roger Gracie's in Hammersmith and roll with the Cristiano Ronaldo of the sport. Like you can go to a seminar and you can go shake his hand. He's just there. It's his gym. He just lives there. If you wanted to go meet Gordon Ryan, you just need to go to Austin in Texas. The best. They're accessible and available to you. You could ask the best in the world a question for a £50 a month membership or whatever it is. So like, there's that part of the sport. But also, when you're kids and you play fighting, or let's say you have two kids, you've got two little boys and they're fighting each other. You say to them, look, no headbutting, no eye gouging, no punching your brother. No pushing him in front of a car coming past,
fucking hell.
Get the energy out, enjoy it because you're obviously enjoying it. Because if one of you wasn't enjoying it, you'd run away and your brother would chase you. Like there's something humane about having scraps. And I think it's something that we've done for a long time to get energy, angst and aggression out.
But you're shit for a long time when you start in it.
Yeah. And for years and you're powerless.
Because we had Kevin J on the show and Kevin was like, he did 3 sessions and he's like, three of those sessions, a guy was just on top of him.
I can tell when someone follows me, right, just by the way they start, because they're a bit stiff and they're a bit like overzealous. And I was with this big, strong blue belt the other day, and he said something. He was like, "Yeah, people usually do this because I'm strong." And we're 8-minute rounds. So even though this guy's more athletic than me, stronger than me, benches, whatever, I was like, I'm just going to cause him mischief for 4 minutes. And then at 4 minutes, I could feel him gas out. So I tried a bit harder, and he fought really hard. And at 3 minutes left, his soul had escaped him. He wasn't even defended anymore.
Really?
And I was like, that's a way of playing people as well. That last 3 minutes would have been the worst thing in the world for him. I'm like kneeling on his chest, pulling his head up into his, pulling his chin into his chest, just...
You love the power, don't you?
Yeah, but it's not even just dominating someone, it's out-gaming them, outplaying them. I knew he was a strong guy. So yeah, I knew he'd gas out. So you got all these things you learn. So when you begin, you're like, I need to show up, I need to do well, I need to do this. But your opponent's just going to wait for you to get tired. And there's a saying that fatigue makes cowards of us all. So people just before you even start, I spot the rugby players because they have the rash guard, they have rugby shorts. I'm like, this guy's going to do a rugby tackle. I'm waiting for the guillotine. And so I can just push him around until he gets frustrated. I know the only thing he knows is a double leg. So as he shoots in, get a guillotine, crank it on, and then I do it again. We get up, I push him around, he shoots the double leg.
Jiu-jitsu scares me,
But it's safe as well. You look after each other. Even say someone puts their hand out, say I've never met this person before. I'm like, hey bro, from my experience, don't do that. You actually want your partners to get better. But think about this, say you do Muay Thai, say you do MMA or whatever. There is no way to do the sport right without striking your opponent hard.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, I can put a little trip. I keep you safe all the time. In boxing, you can't keep your opponent safe and do what you're training to do at the same time.
Right, that's a good question though. See this Misfits boxing stuff. Would you ever get in a ring if someone offers you enough money?
I don't really like striking, and also I'm at a point now where I really
value your face.
Yeah, my brain health as well, right? Because there's a lot of people with CTE, concussions. I spent a bit of time in Dubai with Dylan Hartley, who's like the former England rugby captain.
Yeah.
And he stuttered, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's out there trying to deal with, like, there's some rugby players getting dementia really early. Players that don't remember the World Cup final, like Steve Thompson. And you're kind of now looking back and going, were all those hits to the head really worth it? And you know, you boxers, it's almost like normal for them to be punch drunk.
About 20 mil.
Yeah, well, come on then.
Everyone's got a price in it. All this is like.
But the thing is, like, and I think even like Logan and KSI admit this in school. If you want attention, you fight someone. Like, no matter what, your eyes are drawn to a fight. So all they're doing really is going back to the most primitive way to get attention.
I think a lot of that's WWE though, anyway.
And do you know what? Now I went through a phase of WWE. When I was younger, I loved it. Then it was like, oh fuck, it's fake. Now I'm like 33 and I know how much my back hurts getting up out of bed. It's not fake.
No.
The flips.
I've
the
been
throws,
telling people this for years, bro.
These guys go on tour week in, week out, and they're throwing their bodies around. And you just have to look at a retired wrestler, how they fucking watch. Just find an interview where you see Kurt Angle walking, and you look at him and you go, "Fuck it."
John Cena the other day came out and said, "I'd love to go back to wrestling, but he's like, my body just can't take it." Because all that flipping and shit's real, you know.
And they're hitting the head on the mat. So my TikTok now is showing me loads of old WWE stuff.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about Mankind. What a G. But then
remember when he was Cactus Jack?
Yeah, man.
Fucking pedigreeing people on a bunch of like
nails and all that.
Oh my god, that was real, bro.
Mick Foley, yeah.
The thumbtacks coming out the back. But I watched Brock Lesnar. He was my favorite, right? When Brock turned up, I was like,
oh yeah.
I love
my
this guy.
favorite. My favorite was The Rock and Stone Cold, and then obviously, you know, if you watch WCW, Goldberg.
Maybe there's TikToks coming out now.
But they say Goldberg was
wrestle.
a cunt.
Yeah, he couldn't wrestle.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to do the game. And they were like, he could never get a half-hour match. He could never be a main event because he just got head loss.
Yeah, but they said as well, like, he was just terrible at doing stuff.
Didn't know
like,
how to wrestle.
Yeah, like, and he'd hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, he just hurt you. That's why he never made it as a star. He's like, everybody's got a story about Goldberg injuring them.
Yeah, whereas The Undertaker, he's like known for being one of the best professional wrestlers. Like, there's even videos of him being aware, like, you can find this easy online, guys, by the way, but he's in the ring and he's out cold, yeah, but there's a chair in the middle of the ring and he just kicks it out of the way before somebody falls on it, like their head connects with it, even though he's like not in the play. And people like, his ring awareness was amazing.
He was a nice guy as well.
Oh yeah, top.
Yeah, I mean, he was better than. It's so funny because I think he was on a podcast and he was talking about his best wrestlers, and he didn't really want to mention Hulk Hogan because of the racism stuff in it, but he was like, Hulk, kind of thing, like, because it was just like, he's like, you're not really allowed to mention him anymore, innit? Like,
there's a sick thing about jiu-jitsu as well, where you beat your opponent. It's like checkmate. You don't actually have to like finish the opponent with something. You get an arm bar. You don't actually crank the arm, because when your arm's straight, your bicep's not really working. So when you pull someone's wrist there, you're like, bro, I've got you. Only if you're in competition or a match would you really hip into it and break it. But there was a guy in UFC called Pajares, and he was tapped in the head. So he would get you in a heel hook, you would tap, but then he would carry on going. The referees would have to like pull his hands back, but he would like snap your knee ligaments and then let go.
What a prick.
And Dana White kicked him out in the end because he was just there trying to hurt people. Like, he was getting kicks out of tearing people's joints. Like, it was disgusting.
that is scary.
And he's a gassed up guy as well, like on the juice. Like,
It's like John Jones, isn't it?
He's a nice guy, I reckon.
Do you think?
I don't think.
Do you know who John Jones is?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Basically, this guy is probably the best fighter in any sport known to man.
Greatest of all time.
Really?
Yeah, greatest
Well, I
of all
know
time.
him if I see
Like,
his face.
and his brother's like an NFL player.
Like, good genetics in the family.
Yeah, that family, their genetics are like, they're like Paula Lima.
Yeah, I know John.
They're like Paula Lima, innit?
But like, you know, Khabib had like 26 matches, didn't lose. John Jones had like 26 title defenses, and he also used to just get on the bags and get smashed a week before he fight.
So he was that good.
He would have a reason. No, it was so he could have a reason to lose. He was just waiting for someone to beat him, and he could go, "Oh, it's because I got smashed last week." But he's not.
And he still beat you though. He was getting smashed and beating people.
And he just
Didn't he get suspended for a while?
Yeah, for well, he was then drink driving. He got arrested for some stuff. No, I think he got disqualified in one of his matches, but he was winning it anyway. So that's why so like people like he won that, but he just got DQ'd.
Here's a question though. I want to know your opinion on this, yeah? Because we always like have a look at like athletes and stuff, and we're like, most of them are probably on gear or like of some sort of PED. What's your opinion on that?
I think in some respects you'd be stupid not to. Like, let's say you're an aspiring athlete, you want to do well. what, you're going to let everyone else take it and you'll just be left behind and be, you know.
It's a secret, innit? Everyone's always, but like, you know, when you look at certain people and you're like, you can't be training that hard every day.
They say there's a lot in the UFC, and when Derek from More Plates, More Dates, who's like a super smart guy, was on Rogan really shunts the conversation when he's like, everyone in the UFC's on gear. Rogan's like, so tell me about this. And like, you know, like,
he's thinking about his checking it. That's what he's thinking about.
But these guys, they're not doing like bodybuilding training. They're just doing a huge amount of frequency, and jiu-jitsu is not tested in most federations. So
really?
So only this one called IBJFF. But even then, recently, the testers, WADA, turned up, or it might have been a different body, to the event. So all the podiums, there's no one in first and second because they left. So they come to drug test. So you got 2 guys in the bronze and 3rd place, but first and second, they left before the final. And, I've got to get back to Brazil. But then the drug testers went to Brazil.
I said, right, come on then.
Yeah, so like...
Fucking hell.
So there's one federation where they test, but the rest are untested. So this geezer, Gordon Ryan, he's the best of all time. But now he just keeps juicing and juicing and juicing and juicing. And he's womped. He's like bigger than a bodybuilder. And he's like, yeah, I need to compete with the biggest guys in the world.
Is it just like steroids they're using to get them big, or do you think there's other stuff in there?
I think the main thing they'll be leaning on is like testosterone, just so that they can recover. And like that's the thing, that's the main thing, like recovery, because the more recovery you can
but that's what I was going to say. If I was to take anything, it'd be for recovery.
That's what wrestlers had. Like one of the reasons they were juiced up is because, like, you know, we were saying in it, 30 weeks of the year, you're just smashing yourself up. So you need to be straight in a week. You can't be injured.
Yeah, I mean, there's no ice bath that's helping you.
There's no ice bath. Yeah, you're not living life.
They'll probably have SARMs, HGH, peptides.
You've taken them, haven't you?
Yeah, I did steroids, and like
what steroids in particular?
I took testosterone ethanoate before, and then testosterone sip.
What's the difference between?
They've got different lengths, so you might have to inject more or less frequency. They've also got the different strengths between them as well. So, for instance, there's one called Trenbolone. Trenbolone, I think they originally gave to cows, like it wasn't intended for humans. And when you inject it, you get tren cough. As it goes into your system, you like cough your guts up. Like, so there's some pretty gnarly ones. Then you've got pills like Dianabol, Winstrol. Like Dianabol is one that's like one of the oldest. Winstrol's to help dry you out and get you leaner. Like there's so many different ones. But I remember like when I was 23, there was a guy that I used to play rugby with and he just got jacked. So I didn't even ask him. I was like, can you sell me some stuff? He was like, yeah, sure. So I just drove to his house, gave me some vials, gave me some like pills that you need. And like you're on like forums online trying to figure it out. But I don't know why. This is before I was like personal training, or I'd maybe been a PT 1 year and I was like, how can I compete with all these guys? I would look at the guys above me and be like, oh, they must know so much about nutrition. They must know so much about training. I didn't realize they were on gear. So I was taking gear to try and catch up with the real smart people.
And how old were you then?
Probably 23, 24. I don't think
you hadn't even stopped growing, really.
Yeah, you've not finished.
You've not
finished puberty.
Your frontal
finished
lobe
growing
isn't
fully
developed until 25, isn't it?
I don't think the male brain finishes developing until 30.
Yeah, I make you right.
Because like even at 27, I was doing dumb shit. It. So yeah, you get the vials, and
I think for some men it's 40 to be.
And some men never.
Well, I'm googling like how to inject, like where do I inject, and they're like, I tried doing my pec, couldn't do it. Tried doing my delt, couldn't do it. I couldn't reach.
So you're doing it in your bum?
Yeah, do it in your bum. So your bum is the least vascular like muscle in your body. So then the upper outer quadrant. So they get you to draw a cross on your bum, like imaginary. You want to go to the upper outer bit, which is just here. And that's where nurses will jab you as well. If you got gonorrhea, so I've heard. And
or anti-sickness if you come out of operation.
That's what it is. Yeah,
anti-sickness medicine.
So then you're there. Then you put the injection in, but then you're supposed to aspirate. You're supposed to pull back on the syringe to make sure you're not in a vein. I can't do that around the corner, so I'm just like, fuck, get it in. Then you got to push it around, and then it feels like you've got granddad in your bum for a few days. So you got to alternate sides. I do like Monday, Thursday, but then like 2-3 it takes about 2 weeks for it to get into your system. But then when you're training, like your pumps are like so ferocious. They feel you're worried. You're like
so you know why Arnold was going. It's like coming.
2 favorite feelings in life. Get in the pump. I like him. I get to the bottom of it. Yeah. So that feels like nice. You feel like your skin's like going to pop. You're Googling if a muscle's ever exploded before. But then you train, and then the emotions is nice. You almost get like horny for training. It's a crazy thing. But you don't get tired as well, to the point that I remember being in the gym and I wasn't taking a huge amount. And I was like, I don't know when I'm done. Like usually you're like,
was it good for your cardio as well, or just muscles?
No, I just was training like muscle, but I was playing rugby at the same time, and I was getting tired running around the pitch because I gained like 4 kilograms in a few weeks. So I'm like running around, and then my shoulders were getting sore from tackles because the amount of bench press I was doing and stuff like it.
But my thing with steroids is, doesn't it just like increase your chance of injury? because you're banging all these weights, and I don't think your ligaments and stuff can keep up with that level of growth. Yeah,
the muscles are able to take on so much more load. And also looking back now, I was pretty dumb. I was trying to do like 1 rep maxes, where really I should have just been increasing 10 rep maxes. But I remember leaving the gym, I'd do like a press session. And even then, I wasn't even benching properly when I was on gear. I wasn't even hitting my fucking protein target. Like I just jumped. I was like, oh, high protein diet, fuck that. Testosterone, then you get. And
at 23
you were
as
leaning
well.
hard on your youth, man. Your youth is what saved you. Because if you tried that shit now, you'd be fucked up, man.
And then I would leave the gym, and like as I'm walking out, I would look and I'd be like, I'd do 100 dips before I leave. Just like boom, 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 like listening to like music, just getting in the zone. Then you walk out, and people in the gym are like, "Oh yeah, you're looking juicy."
Yeah,
and then you're like,
natural, innit? Natural.
Yeah. And then
press ups.
By the time I didn't have I wasn't using social media, so I said to my clients, a few of my clients, like, "You're on steroids?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like to me, I would say to them, I'm having like a 12-week holiday of training. Like, I know that this isn't great. I know this isn't going to be forever, but my training got a bit boring. I hit a few plateaus, so I'm gonna, But boy,
my whole thing is with steroids though is like, what is it going to get you that you can't get otherwise?
So this is another theory I have. I think there are a lot of young people, and myself included, where say you're 22, 23 and you want to increase your status as a person. Yeah. You can't get that in the workplace, because if you're 23, you're on a salary of 28k in London. If you try and be creative, shut the fuck up, man. You're an intern. Oh, I've got an idea for this project. Oh, you're a project manager. Didn't think so. Shut the fuck up. You're 10 years away from any responsibility in the office.
Yeah.
So you're like, cool, I've got no status there. You don't earn enough money to have status in that way. You go to the gym, you start injecting steroids that cost less than your fucking protein powder. And then you're like, boom, you're getting bigger, and guys are coming up to you. Hey man, like, what's your trick with the shoulder press? People like looking at you when you're training.
Oh, just do military press, mate.
You get like a massive pump. And they call it like a pump cover. Like a lot of bodybuilders, they go in, they get a pump with a jumper on, then they take the jumper off knowing everyone's looking at them. Like,
oh, that's what they do when they come in the big oversized top and then back it off and are wearing like a thong but on the top off.
And they
you know
want,
what I mean?
They want people to be
I used to wear that still.
Is it?
It's got
a gold
gym
gym.
I had one.
You had one as well. So did you ever do that?
Yeah. Like, I was guilty of all of these things. I used to be the person I take the piss out of.
Do you know, I always find it funny though, like, why are you taking steroids to just like sit at a desk in a recruitment job?
Because it gives them something that they can put everything into and get recognition from, because they can't get that away.
I get it, but still, man, like, it's just one of those, is it worth your health?
So probably not. But then you have survivorship bias, right? So you could look at the comedians around you, but then you're actually looking at only the people that succeeded. You don't see the thousands of people that did a couple of open mics.
Oh, no, I do. I see them. I'm like,
week in, week out.
Right, right. Oh, what? Oh,
you're still doing this,
you
yeah?
work as a runner now.
Right. But let's say you're in the office, you're doing this, and then you see that Gymshark just signed a guy, 19, yoked dude, was working in fucking Sainsbury's. Now he's Gymshark ambassador, getting 11k a month. You're like, that could be me. Because suddenly being an IT manager at fucking Serco in London isn't pushing it for you. Or you're working for Biffa Bin's head office. You're like, maybe this could be me. But then you're like, should I do steroids? Shall I not? They're like, well, I'm definitely not going to get there if I don't take it. So I agree with you, but I'm like, I know the mindset. Because I was just a fucking PT charging £25 an hour in Bracknell, living with my mum and dad, driving a Volkswagen Polo that was Cat C. It had been written off before. So I was like, I know this isn't good for me, but it could help me. But then the issue with it is not only just health, you have to come off eventually, because when you're taking exogenous testosterone, so you've got this testosterone coming that's in this vial, so your natural production starts to shut down. So your balls shrink.
Balls shrink, you get tits.
Not so much the tits. So your balls shrink and they can pop up inside you when you're having sex. You're having sex, you're just pushing them out.
That ever happen?
Yeah, your sex drive goes crazy, but then you're there like, oh, my nut is up in my pubic area.
What?
So, yeah, they become like grapes, and you can take other things to stop this happening.
Wait. Your balls?
They become like the size of grapes, and they go
and
inside you.
And they can like pop in, so you can be having a great time and like.
And then I'm like, I feel my nutsack, and there's only one there, and I'm like, oh, let me push it back out. But you could take.
Wait, you're saying that so casually, bro.
The bodybuilding community,
bro, you're saying that so casually. Your nut is in your pubic area.
Yeah, it like comes up inside the scrotum.
Fuck.
And like at the time, you could take something called HCG, which pretty much.
But bro, hold on. Let me just stay at this point. Yeah. Does that not scare the living daylights out of you the first time it happened?
It's not as bad as injecting, because the needles are about this fucking big. So I'm already that far in, right? I've got my mum telling me dinner's ready as I've got a needle sticking out my ass as I'm trying to put oil in my ass to get muscle. Like a nut going up inside me is the least of my worries. I've got clenbuterol cramps in my hand from putting the injection in. Like there are worse things going on like this. And then, so that happens, you push that, but you know they're going to come back. And you can take HCG when you're on, which is...
Well, you say that... HCG.
So it gets worse. So then that's like the axis between your testicles and your brain. But I didn't want to fuck with that because if I fuck with that, when I come off, I'm going to be in a worse position. So I was like, I'll let them shrink. I'm only going to do 12 weeks. Some people do 12, that becomes 20.
And were you medically trained in any way at this point?
No. And the forums I was going on was from other people that fucked themselves up. So it's like...
So this is second, third, fourth hand information maybe that you're getting.
And then there are people in the forums going, don't listen to this guy. I'm coaching him to help him get his dick back or whatever.
Fuck.
But then I was like, I'm young and stupid, man, at this point. Some of the shit I did in my 20s.
And this was pre-TikTok, pre-Instagram.
I tried Facebook, personal account. PT in
no
there.
page.
So
that is wild, bruv. You're half like, and then your nuts just over there. Bro, do you know, I would be terrified.
What was your personality like when you're like that as well?
So this is one thing that I would stand by. Your personality remains the same, but let's imagine there's a certain amount I'd have to wind you up for you to really get pissed off.
Yeah.
That shortens. That's it. So you don't become someone different. Let's say I had to prod you for 10 minutes before you go get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It might just take 2 minutes.
Oh, so like I'm gonna liken this to like when I'm hangry. You know, is it like that when you're like, if I hit the coffee table on my knee when I ain't eating properly, I'm fucking kicking that top coffee table. It can fuck off. I'm talking to it like it's a human.
But that's why people get shocked because it was such a shorter period of time for that to happen.
Okay.
But then your mates know you're on gear. They're, roid rage. And you're like, fucking, that annoys you. But then...
Wait, it was roid rage.
Yeah. But then pretty much, yeah. But like it didn't psychologically affect me that much. And then so you're on cycle for 12 weeks, then I knew I had to stop pinning. I was like, I don't want to run the risk, so I'm going to come off. Then you have to start taking another drug, like a breast cancer drug, when you come off. During your cycle, if your nipples get really sensitive, something's happening called aromatization, which is your body knows you've got too much testosterone, so it starts converting into estrogen in a bid for homeostasis.
That's when you get the tits,
And that's where you start developing breast tissue.
I had breast tissue when I was going through puberty.
Yeah. That's the
You
thing
ever
that
had
can
that?
happen. Yeah.
But some guys get it bad. Some guys
Yeah,
get
so
like,
I had like these little balls.
Yeah, I had that. Yeah,
Did you have them removed?
They turned.
No, they
Mine
went
mine just turned into a peck.
Yeah,
afterwards,
same here. Like, but for a while, I think I was probably about 14.
Yeah.
When I was going through puberty, bro, it was
like little like discs in there, innit?
These little balls under your nipples, and like it was so painful. Like, say somebody will punch you in the chest, and they hit that, it was so painful, and you didn't really want to tell anybody because you're like,
my nips.
No, but you're telling people like, come on, you know what kids are like at 14.
Yeah.
You're like, but you're like, I think I'm going best, bro. And it's just like,
some guys do, so they're aromatizing. So then I had to text.
That sounds really nice, I'm aromatizing. That sounds like what are you gonna do? I'm aromatizing the chicken first.
Aromatizing sounds like you're getting the room with like scented candles and coming something like this.
It's like I message my guy and I'm like, hey, I've got sensitive nips. He's like, come round. What does he give me?
He got me a takeaway. And it's like, put me to
30 quid.
Run me a bath.
I'm gonna give you a aromatase inhibitor. So this is something they call AI. You take that when you're aromatizing, it stops it.
There's a never-ending cycle of taking shit.
But what it does is it kills estrogen. Boom. But estrogen is important for muscle growth. So a lot of guys don't want to touch the aromatase inhibitors. They'd rather roll the dice and keep their estrogen high.
Shit.
Then they start developing breast tissue during cycle. But then some people develop breast tissue post-cycle. So they finish their myriad of drugs and they just start developing it afterwards when they're like kickstarting or when they're getting back into homeostasis.
This is fucking mental. It's like some girls when they do testosterone, their clits get massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some testosterones don't aromatize, which makes them very popular. Like I think Anavar, I could be wrong with that, but I think Anavar, they call it a mild steroid because it's a tablet, you haven't got to inject, and like you're not going to aromatize from it. I never got any of that, thank God. But
the moment you mentioned Anavar, did you know Greg Doucette? He's disarmed! That guy.
He does hit pieces on me now and then.
Does he do it on you?
Yeah, like that's how you know you're making waves on YouTube when people are doing them on YouTube.
Because I know he does a lot of videos. He was doing one about like he does one about Mike Thurston like every year. Like it's like an annual video that he does. Like he looks good. He's in Ibiza. Like, and then it's just like fucking going through this whole video, like analyzing the guy. And then he does like Matt Does Fitness and all of that. And But what did he do about you? Just telling you your steroids or your content shit? Because he does that as well about people.
I was talking about like the cost of TRT in Australia. So like you've got your like steroid use and abuse, and this is the thing. Like we can coin alcohol as bad, but some people use it, some people abuse it. Same with steroids. And again, for some people, like they actually need steroids to be who they are. Like The Rock wouldn't be The Rock without steroids. You know, your favorite wrestler.
Wait, what? Oh my God, The Rock is on roids?
Are you serious?
Like so many characters.
We've mentioned it so many times, like, allegedly. Yeah.
Stallone wouldn't be Stallone. So like some people actually do need it, fair play.
People think Stallone got in the shape he did in Rocky 4 to fight Ivan Drago naturally.
You got to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, man.
Bro, like, let's be real, yeah? You're not looking like that, just fucking in some...
And just while James is drawing for something, just to diversify it, people think that Hugh Jackman become Huge Jacked Man, Wolverine, at like post 40. Listen, you need that Hollywood treatment. Listen, I don't know, man, but I just look at these guys and I think, I just take it as standard, like, yeah, he's on some Hollywood juice, it's all good. But people that look at these people like, yeah, I want to be 47 years old and I want to have like 4% body fat for 6 months of the year.
Talking of, what's it, Drago? He was a USSR lab.
Yeah.
So there's a woman right now who's a bodybuilder who's the same, right? And
I've seen that. She looks fucking wedge.
You seen her before?
Christ.
I think I have. Wedge.
She did I remember watching her do like a video with Mike Thurston the other day.
Yeah.
She's Russian and she's just a yoked bird.
Wham. And this... She
takes you to bed.
So, women
she
benches you.
Steroids at the moment as well.
She's beautiful as well.
Yeah, it's mixed signals, isn't it?
So there's another conversation about performance enhancing drugs that I'm hearing amongst my peers and friends and men talking about online quite a bit, right? And that is people talking about using tea to keep their levels up when it drops off naturally. At what point in your life do you think you would consider getting back on performance enhancing drugs and tea? My level's very low in terms of like what is what. So if I'm using the wrong terminology, let me know. But
I thought you were going to say your testosterone levels are pretty low.
Nah. Well, naturally, no. Well, you know what though? I say this to people, like, they're on the way down, bruv. That's natural for me at my time, and I'm cool with it. But like, I know I've had conversations with friends that are like, yeah, I'm thinking about taking a test, and I want to get mine back up to a natural level.
I've started getting adverts for it on Instagram.
Is it?
Which is scary.
Might because you're mates with me. No, it's okay. No, but I've started saying to my friends to get it back up to a natural level. If it's on the way down, which is natural for us, then it's not a natural level. But it's cool. I don't want to get into that now, but like, at what point would you consider going for that?
So this is what Greg was calling out. Yeah. I was saying once I have kids, I'd be cool to maybe get on a low dose forever, because you wouldn't want to get on before kids because it can negate your fertility.
Okay.
So like that's a bit of a barrier. And again, why I say to young men, I don't fuck up your nuts, because if you can't have kids, there were hundreds of thousands of years of people going through struggle and famine and wars and all of that.
And they still
for
had
you
kids.
to get there and inject too much test and fuck your nuts up. So I say that, but then a big concern is testosterone rates globally are declining between like 1 and 1.5% a year.
Why is that?
Why is that?
So it could be obesity, it could be plastics in water, could be like, even tap water, the quality of it. And like I joked in a video a few years ago about being like, I'm not drinking tap water. I don't want your contraceptive pill in my drink, but it actually is getting in like in cities, and there's like contaminants and liquids. And I'm not going to be like someone who's like turn your wife
unless you're in
night.
Scotland.
Don't put your laptop near your testicles. Like I'm not one of those guys, but testosterone is plummeting as it is. So people in the 80s, literally, if they lived the same lives as us, would have had more tests. So you got that. Then I've got other friends who train. They got families. They got kids. I know one guy is a PT. And he goes to the gym early in the morning. He's inside all day and he gets his test done and it's low. His doctor goes, I need you to sleep more. I need you to go outside more. I need you to work on being less stressed. That's how we're going to get your test up. And he's like, I can't do that. I've got 2 daughters and I work all day. So his only option was to cheat the system and take a bit of test so he can be congruent with his life.
We say this all the time on here. We're like, just because it was, especially during that, like when I got a lot of heat for that ice bath video. Like the ice bath community came for me. But we always say, get your sleep and fucking eat the right foods, and that surpasses everything. You don't need to do all of this other shit. Get that right first, and then the other stuff will
There's
come.
also an argument as well that we're supposed to decline in tests.
This is kind of what I'm leaning into, James, because I feel like we are meant to die. We're meant to get old. It's part of the natural process. Like people need to die. We need to not be here.
I think people
it's just the way we are.
Like men, as they get older and their testosterone declines, they become less aggressive and therefore more wise.
Yeah.
So like you think if you were to ask your brother, he'd be like, let's fight him. Your dad would be like, should we fight him? And your grandparents would be like, Don't fight them, Charles. You know what I mean? Like, so some people...
the battle is within.
Yeah, hypothesize that as you become less aggressive and less horny and less sex-driven, you can then give better advice as elders. Because we're supposed to live in like family units of children, parents, grandparents, and we're supposed to like... So I see that side of it as well. But then for some people, the way they're driven, they're just like, I'm going to bang weights and shag my missus till I'm 70. And then if I have a heart attack at 70, so be it. And like part of me inside...
70 is a good innings though, isn't it?
And again, this is one of Gervais's bits, not mine, but like he's like, those 10 years you add on from living healthy, he's like, they're not good years. Who's selling them years between 90 and 100? You know, like,
you're not feeling...
don't drink wine every night because otherwise you won't live to 100. He's like, getting a shit deal.
Yeah.
It's like timeshare.
You want to get your free scores on a 10 in. That's apparently what older people say. I only found out the other day, get your free scores on a 10s in. That's a good
my
innings,
whole
70,
thing about living to 100 is if all my mates are dead, that's just 10 years of you just being fucking bored out of your nut, bro.
Wanking.
And nobody likes you.
You can't even wank,
wanking.
bro.
Fuck, you know, 90, you could try.
You can try giving every day.
At 90, you're going to be fucking bored, bro. And also, there is nothing about at that age that is going to like, if you've lived a good life, there is nothing at that age that is going to make you...
It's the Eurovision Song Contest.
You know? And do people really want to hang around with you? Are they going to be like Saturday night? Let's get down the pub.
There's only so many walks on a beach that you could do. Yeah. By the time you're 90, you're like, I've seen it.
Yeah, I reckon, I said to my dad, I said, I'm going to get a gun when I'm older, keep it next to the toilet. And if I can't take a shit on my own, I'll kill myself. And my dad said, can you get me one too? Like, I think that's a good line to draw it at. And I know some people can disagree with that, but I'll go to war with this. Like, if you can't take a shit on your own at an elderly age, just... Like, and you know, like if you look at tribes, it might be Papua New Guinea, it might be somewhere else, but they're like the elders, when they can't keep up with the tribe, the youngsters go behind and put an axe in the back of their head. But the elders don't flinch because when they were younger, they had to do it to the elders. Yeah. So it's nothing personal. It's just if you can't keep up, and as the person walks behind them, they know they're done, but they don't flinch. They don't stop walking. Boom.
But that's a painless, death as well, isn't it?
I think there's nothing more demeaning for me. Like, there's nothing that would hurt me more than knowing that I couldn't, like...
Bang a shit.
Yeah, or get myself up or make myself a drink. I just feel...
Just go Switzerland, isn't it?
What, just get out? Is that what you're saying? Euthanasia. Well, all right, one more thing before we flip onto our Patreon thing. I wanted to mention this in another episode, but I'm glad I got someone like you here. I've noticed this new phenomenon. And I know you're not in the gym all the time as a personal trainer. Like, no, you're not personal trainer. No, yeah. We should say, bruv. But yeah, he's pumping his chest up. I have seen in the last week at least 3 gym dates, maybe 5. Have you heard of this phenomenon? And is this a thing? And I've had people I've asked people, is this a real thing? People are going 2 dates, maybe second or third date in a gym.
I thought it's normal.
I've never heard of this before. Is this?
So I think I've heard something back in the day where they're like, when people are in love, their heart rate goes up when they're together or whatever. So they're like,
great time for cardio. Yeah.
If you can emulate your heart rate increasing,
come on, man,
going for a walk, exercising together, pheromones.
Oh shit!
So that's why a lot of people, PTs, fuck their clients because you're in the environment.
Oh, that's the reason.
No, but like, so imagine this. Imagine we're looking at.
What did I say? Episode 3 of this podcast. 85% of PTs.
Yeah, it's bad.
Scumbags.
Sorry, as you were saying, James Smith,
because
PT.
I put him in a 15%.
I bring let's say, I bring lady into a place. Yeah. I'm the only person in her life to ask what she wants and what she cares about and what problems she's facing.
And you're the only person that's like 30 centimeters away from her when you're stretching her thighs out.
Even her husband hasn't asked how she is in 3 months or whatever. Shit. I'm like, hey, what are problems you face? And why is that making you feel that way? Okay, you're not feeling confident. Why is that? If we get you more confident, stronger, how would that make you feel? Then they're exercising. Then those feel-good hormones they're going to get from actually exercising.
They associate
with being with you. Then you're like, so how was your weekend? And people like you if you get them talking. Right? 100%. You know, that's like how you become a great podcast host. You get someone talking about themselves. They leave going, that was the best fucking 2 hours ever. So you've got the perfect storm for, sex at the end of the day. So then what I would do actually when I was PT, when I was back in the day, I would get girls as a first date to come to the gym. I'm like, hey, I'm working all day. If you want, come in. I can take you through some stuff. And if you don't like me, you got a free PT session. And if you do, this is the last part of my shift. Yeah. But they would also, the benefit was for me, it's my ultra comfortable environment. I spend thousands of hours in there. If you take me to a Wetherspoons in Reading, I'm like, oh, where's the toilet? Oh, sorry, the seat like squeaks on the floor. And you kind of can remove that kind of friction from it. And there are really weird places where it's really good to communicate with someone. So you got, whilst exercising, while on the move, I think like Seneca said, no good idea was thought of not walking. And also in cars. So when you get someone and you get them to not face each other, they have much more open talks and discussions about things. There are not to get too complex, but there are two systems in the mind. One that's a lot more relaxed and one that's a lot more alert. So everything that we think subconsciously is the relaxed one, but you know, like you're doing a crossword and you're like, 4 letters fish. Someone's like shark. And you're like, that's not 4 letters. That part of your brain that just kind of jumps in. When you're doing something on autopilot, you often come up with your best ideas. That's why probably some of your bits are when you're driving, you're like, fuck, I've got to pull over and get
shower.
Notes. Yeah, shower. So like, if you can put yourself into autopilot mode, that can really relax people. Because when you sit opposite someone with alcohol in a dating environment where you're just there to find out if you're going to fuck each other, you know, that's not...
Quite confrontational, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it's interview-esque, you know, like, why don't you sit next to me? This isn't an interview. Like, it's not natural. So then, hey, we both like going to the gym. We don't want to waste any time because we're high-functioning individuals. Why don't we do a workout together? And if we don't like it, fuck it.
Yeah. And then you can go to the spa afterwards.
And then you would spot every ick doing a training session with someone.
100%.
Yeah, personal hygiene. You get a lick into that straight away because you're sweating in it. So
how do they smell after they sweat?
Yeah, which is
style as well.
Yeah, style as well. Fucking hell, I'd fail on that. I'd go to the gym like a tramp, bro. But yeah, like pheromones are in the air in it. Like you're around other people, you get to know what their cardio's like. All right, I'm getting it now. I still found it a bit weird. I was like, because for me, gym's like meditation, innit?
Let's do the good stuff.
Yeah, but where can people find you, James? In the meantime,
just type James Smith. If you can't find me, it wasn't meant to be.
James Smith PT. Have you got anything coming up recently?
Not really. Rather than plugging stuff, just if you like the conversation, feel free to go socials. If not, one day the honey trap will get you. Don't try and push people inside. Do you know what? Sign up to these boys' fucking Patreon. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck
thanks,
my
man.
events. These guys have come out of their day.
You're going back to Australia tomorrow, so it's been a pleasure having you, man. So thank you so much.
Cheers.
Big up.